How have friends historically responded to police intervention in situations involving conflict? What is our responsibility to ensure that police do not inflict harm on vulnerable communities? Is it always just to call 911, even when our safety or the safety of others feels at risk? Does the peace testimony ultimately compel us to think twice before calling the police? Today, I'm going to ask friends to reflect on what they might do in a situation where, at least at first, it feels imperative to call the police. My name is Brian Blackmore. I'm the Director of Quaker Engagement at the American Friends Service Committee and a member of Gainesville Monthly Meeting in North Central Florida. I use he, him pronouns or any pronouns used with respect. I want to name and honor that many friends might have very different perceptions and experiences with law enforcement. Some of us have had experiences that were quite painful, irrepressibly traumatizing, leaving impressions on our minds and hearts that cannot be forgotten. Others of us might have had mostly positive experiences with police. Some of us know police as our close friends, spouses, or family members. Wherever you are coming from, I ask that you stay engaged with a spirit of openness and lean into any discomfort that may emerge in response to what I'm about to share. So let's get started. Try to imagine yourself in a situation where you are feeling the instinct to call the police. I want you to literally close your eyes and imagine your surroundings in a specific place. Picture a situation where you might want to call 911. The first step is to ask yourself some questions. Repeat after me. I'll ask. Ask yourself if involving the police would help the problem in this situation or create more harm. Is the situation an inconvenience or something that merits involving lethally armed law enforcement? If just thinking through these questions has led you to conclude that contacting the police is not necessary, then great. More likely, however, just thinking that you might want to call the police probably means that there's a problem you feel needs to be addressed. In that case, say, I'll assess. Assess whether you can resolve the situation by talking it through with the people involved, and use verbal de-escalation if necessary. If that doesn't work, say, I'll assemble. Reach out to others in your community for support. Perhaps someone else is nearby. You could call a friend, send a message to a neighborhood group text or Facebook page, or contact a local alternative to 911 police response. If you still feel it is imperative to call the police, you've answered the question, is law enforcement necessary, in the affirmative, and you are certain that the situation cannot be resolved or de-escalated by your own actions or by others within your immediate reach, call 911 only after you have acknowledged. Say, I'll acknowledge. This means acknowledging your personal identity and the identities of those around you, making sure that those most often impacted by police violence and criminalization, including Black, Indigenous, people of color, immigrants, youth, LGBTQ, poor and working class people, are not put in harm's way. Try to anticipate the arrival of the police and how that might lead to the arrest of others. Alert everyone in the vicinity that law enforcement is being called in case they want to leave. Those least vulnerable to criminalization and violence, which might be you, should take responsibility for communicating with law enforcement. So repeat the tools for thinking twice before calling the police with me. I'll ask, are police going to help the situation or will they cause more harm? I'll assess whether there are alternatives to calling the police utilizing your own nonviolent strategies. And/or I'll assemble. other individuals or resources that may be just as or more effective than law enforcement to bring the situation to a peaceful end. But if I still feel pressed to call the police, I'll acknowledge my own identity and experience with police, as well as interpret the relationship others at the scene might have with law enforcement. I'll alert everyone that I'm calling the police and take responsibility for the arrival of the police on the scene. You are now ready to use these tools in a challenging, maybe even a frightening situation. But I guarantee you that they will help you to promote a more peaceful and just world. If you're ready to commit to them, I ask that you sign the AFSC pledge to demonstrate to others that friends are equipped and ready to take away the occasion for violence, wherever found and however known. Over the course of our long history, the Religious Society of Friends itself has had a complicated relationship with law enforcement. In the first generation of Friends, many Quakers were thrown in jail for their beliefs and ways of worship. A whole system of support was established called the Meeting for Sufferings, meant to care for those who had been thrown in jail. George Fox himself spent many years of life in prison. Many Friends during wartime have been arrested and jailed for refusing military conscription, and some valiant Friends, like Mary Dyer, paid the ultimate price for acting in defiance of the law. At the present time, however, we as a nation are not mourning the loss of Quaker lives at the hands of police officers. We're speaking out against the mass incarceration of Friends. We find ourselves now caught in a point in history where too many Black, Indigenous, people of color, immigrants, youth, LGBTQ+ people, poor and working class people, some of them also being Friends, mind you, have either experienced violence at the hands of police already or fear that they will soon be their next targets. Our tradition is one that respects order and the law when it is just. We respect the intentions and efforts of police to keep our communities safe, but we cannot respect any attempt to enforce law and order which precipitates violence. We cannot respect nor quietly stand by to witness our communities devolving into war zones. As Quakers, we can claim a special historical connection to enacting peace in the face of state-sanctioned violence. At the height of persecution of Friends, George Fox said, "All bloody principles and practices we do utterly deny, with all outward wars and strife and fightings with outward weapons, for any end or under any pretense whatsoever. And this is our testimony to the world." So upon some of the most fundamental and beautiful tenets of the Quaker faith, that there's that of God in everyone, and we must seek to remove the occasion for all wars, I ask that you think twice before calling the police and demonstrate your commitment by signing our pledge. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of QuakerSpeak. If you like this episode, please leave a comment and a thumbs up so we can reach even more friends. For more videos, click this playlist here. To subscribe to QuakerSpeak, click this here. And to support us, click here. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Thursday.